guys, and welcome to our English class. Today we are on Unit 3, and we are going to be talking about discoveries. Now, the essential question for our chapter that we're going to be learning about today is, what do we know about Earth and its neighbors? Now, discover the universe. Look up at the sky. What do you see? Astronomers first learned about Earth and its neighbors by looking up. Today, scientists use telescopes, satellites, and manned spaceships to study the universe. They make new discoveries every day about Earth and our solar system. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Earth. How do we discover things in outer space? What are some of the tools that we use? Now, can you see one tool that we use to discover outer space? Satellites or telescopes. Very good. All right, now let's take a look at our vocabulary. So the first word we have for today is amount. Now, amount is a quantity of something. It's usually like the total number of things in number or size, value, or extent. James drank a small amount of water. Next, we have astronomy. Now, astronomy is a part of science or a branch of science, and it deals with celestial objects like space and the physical universe as a whole. So planets and stars and galaxies, this would be the study of astronomy. Kia looked at the stars when she studied astronomy. Now we have globe. Now a globe is the Earth. It's a model or a replica of the Earth. Our Earth is a big, round globe. Now, what shape is a globe? A circle. Very good job. Next, we have a solar system. Now, the solar system is a collection of 8 planets and their moons, and they are orbiting the sun, okay? Now, this is all together with some bodies that have asteroids and meteoroids and comets, okay? So this is our solar system. There are 8 planets in our solar system. Next up, we have the word support. Now, if you support something, it means that you are holding something up, or you are bearing all of the weight of something. Now, I can support something physically. Oh, I am holding something up. Or support could be not literal. I support you. I hold you up. My dad and I support our favorite baseball team by cheering. Next, we have surface. Now, surface is the outside part or the uppermost layer of something. So it's usually used when we're describing some texture or some form. So in this instance, it says that an astronaut walks on the dry, dusty surface of the moon. Okay, so the top layer of something. Now we have temperature. Now, temperature is the degree or intensity of heat, right? So it could be how much heat is in something or how little of heat is in something. We have fun even when the temperature outside is cold. Next, we have warmth. So warmth is a little similar to temperature, but it's different. So warmth is a quality or a state or a sensation of being warm. So you are actually feeling the heat. Will and Paul cooked marshmallows over the warmth of a fire? Okay, so now that brings us to our main story today. And our story is going to be an expository text. Now, can you remember what is an expository text exactly? Well, it's going to be a true story. So it's going to give us a lot of facts and information about a topic, okay? Now, in our story today, we're going to have things like keywords and headings, and we're going to have some charts that we're going to look at, all to help us understand this topic that we're learning about. So the title of our story is called Earth and Its Neighbors. The essential question that we want to learn about today is, well, what do we know about Earth and its neighbors? We're going to read about how we have learned about space. Now, in our picture, we have a subtext, okay? We have a picture caption, and it's saying that Galileo studied the sky with a telescope that he built. So maybe this is one thing that we're going to talk about in our story today. If the sun could talk, it might say, "Look at me. Look at my sunspots. I am so hot." Without the sun, Earth would be a cold, dark planet. How do we know this? Thanks to the astronomer Galileo, we know a lot about the sun and the rest of our solar system. Telescopes, looking up. Galileo did not invent the telescope. However, 400 years ago, he did build one that was strong enough to study the sky. When Galileo looked into space, he saw the rocky surface of the moon. When he looked at the sun, he discovered spots on its fiery surface. Okay, so first my question is, what's a telescope? Okay, so it's like a big magnifying glass that allows me to see things that are very, very far away. Now, who was smart enough to build a telescope that actually could see the moon? Okay, so that is this guy, Galileo. And what is Galileo's job? He is an astronomer. Very good. So he studies the universe. He studies the solar system. Astronomy, or the study of space, began with the simple telescope. But astronomers wanted to look at the sky more closely. They made bigger telescopes that could see further than the one Galileo used. Astronomers still had many questions. Satellites, a step closer. In 1958, scientists launched Explorer-1, the first American satellite into space. It was an exciting day for America. Soon, many satellites circled the globe and took photographs of Earth, the moon, stars, and other planets. They collected a large amount of information. Satellites even tracked the temperature on the planet Saturn. Scientists have learned many things about the solar system from satellites. That's why they kept sending more into space. Soon, there were hundreds of satellites in space, making amazing discoveries. But astronomers wanted to know even more. That's why they found a way to put a man on the moon. Okay, so what is astronomy? Okay, perfect. The study of the solar system and space. Very good. Now, what is this word satellite? Is a satellite the same thing as a telescope? No, it's not. A satellite is very different from a telescope. We see a satellite is taking off to go into outer space, okay? Now, these satellites are going around the Earth, and they are taking a lot of information about space. One giant leap. In 1961, Alan Shepard became America's first astronaut. He blasted off into space in a rocket and then turned around and came back to Earth. His short trip was a big success. Shepard's flight proved that people could go into space. After Shepard, more astronauts went into space. Some orbited the Earth. Some walked on the dusty, bumpy surface of the moon. They took pictures and collected moon rocks. Astronauts wanted to answer some important questions. Did the sun's warmth heat the moon? Could the moon support life someday? So let's take a look at our picture. What do you think this picture is telling us? Okay, so this picture is telling us about the astronaut, and his name is Buzz Aldrin. Now, Buzz Aldrin obviously walked on the moon. And when he finished, he brought home a piece of moon rock. Now, what are some questions that scientists have about space? So they want to know, did the sun make the moon really hot? Could we live on the moon someday? So they had a lot of questions about this moon thing. Scientists studied the photographs and moon rocks that the astronauts brought back. They made exciting discoveries using telescopes and satellites, but it wasn't enough. Scientists wanted to get closer to the other planets. Soon they found a way. Hubble and beyond. Scientists created another telescope, but this time it was gigantic. They sent it up into space. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched in 1990. It's still up there and orbits the Earth above the clouds. It takes clear, close-up photographs of stars and planets. It sends fascinating information back to Earth. The Hubble helps scientists study Earth and its neighbors. It also helps astronomers see planets outside our solar system. Okay, so can you give me maybe one detail? What does the Hubble telescope do? Well, it's helping scientists study Earth and the solar system, okay? And it does this by taking a lot of pictures and sending a lot of information back to Earth to the scientists who live here. Now, what year was the Hubble Space Telescope put into outer space? 1990, very good. And what year did it come back to Earth? That's a trick question because it never came back to Earth. The Hubble Space Telescope is still in outer space collecting a lot of information. More discoveries every day. Scientists are still asking questions about Earth and its neighbors in space. With the help of satellites, telescopes, and astronauts, they will continue to explore to find answers. Now, what can we see? Now, let's take a look at the difference between what we can see with our own eyes, what we could see with a telescope, and what we could see with the very gigantic Hubble telescope. So, with our eyes, we can see Mars and the sun and the moon. With a simple telescope, we can see some craters on the moon, some sunspots, and even some clouds around Jupiter. But with the Hubble telescope, we can see Jupiter's surface. We can see stars bigger than the sun and are far, far away, and even planets that are outside of our solar system. So could you give me a summary of what we read about in our story today? Okay, so we could say in the beginning, Galileo made the first telescope that could see into outer space about 400 years ago. Later, scientists wanted to study and sent satellites into outer space. This collected a lot of information. Next, scientists created the Hubble telescope, which is the biggest telescope that they've ever made. And this helps scientists to study astronomy and the solar system. Perfect. See, that is a great summary of our story for today. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the main idea, and let's think of some details that support this idea. Now, the main idea is that scientists have learned a lot about space. Now, we want to think of 3 details that support that main idea. Well, one detail we could say is that Galileo was the first to build a telescope that could see into outer space. Another detail we could say is that scientists built satellites to give us more information about space. And the last detail we could say is that scientists built the Hubble telescope that orbits the Earth today. All 3 of these details tell us that how scientists have learned a lot more about space. Okay, so really good job with our story today. I hope you learned something new and interesting. And now what we're going to do is we are going to practice some of our vocabulary words. And we're going to do this by putting the vocabulary word into the sentence, like this. So we need to put support into this sentence. It could be something like this. I depend on my father for support at home. Number 2, amount. The sign above the oranges. Oh, the sign above the oranges says the amount is $3. Remember, amount is how much of something. Solar system. So the sun and the planets. Okay. The sun and the planets are in the solar system. Number 4. Now we have surface. Digging deep below. Digging deep below the surface, we look for buried treasure. Ooh, would you like to go looking for buried treasure beyond the surface? Next, we have temperature. In order for the water to boil, the temperature needs to be very hot. All right, and last we have globe. If you want to see, maybe we could say, if you want to see the globe, you will need to go to space. Maybe you could see Big Earth from inside of the spaceship. Okay, so now we're going to work on past tense verbs. Now, as a review, When a verb is in the past tense, it means that a verb has already happened. And what we want to do is we want to add an ed to most of these verbs, okay? So, there are some types of regular past tense verbs are used with both singular and plural subjects, okay? So let's take a look right here. We are going to look for the past tense verb. We walked to Ocean Park. Well, our verb is walked, and we see ed, so it is past tense. Mom looked for an empty bench. Looked is our past tense verb. She liked to watch us play. Liked is the past tense verb. I played with my little sister in the sand. Played is our past tense verb. We packed sand into her bucket. Can you find the past tense verb? Yes, it is packed. Very good. Okay, so remember that little trick is we want to look for ed at the end of the word, and most of our past tense verbs are all going to have ed. Okay, so now there are some more special rules for making past tense verbs. Now, some of them we need to change a y to an I before adding the ed, okay? And sometimes we have to double the consonant and add ed to verbs that end with one vowel and one consonant. So here's what we're going to do, okay? We need to circle the correct answer. Number 1 says, Dad and I watched a movie about birds. Which one is correct? Yes, we want to have ed is correct. Number 2, the baby birds cried for something to eat. Which one's correct? Very good. We need to change the y to an I. Some penguins rolled down an icy hill. Which one should I circle? Rolled. Very good. We need ed. One small bird hopped along a tree branch. Which one is correct? Hopped. We need to have two p's. Eagles glided through the air. Which word do you think I should circle? Glided. Very good. We do not need two e's in this past tense verb. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the draft model. I once saw a comet in the night sky at my brother's baseball game. The comet had a long, glowing tail. It flew across the sky and then was gone. So what is the topic of the draft model? A comet. Very good. All right, now, can we add some more details to tell us a little bit more about this comet? Yes, we could. We could give some more descriptions and more details. Maybe we could say where at the baseball game. So maybe we could just write, where was it? Did other people see it? Maybe we could ask, how did it disappear? Now, asking ourselves questions can help us to give more details about the draft model. So let's go ahead and let's try to rewrite this with some more details about the comet. So we could say, I once saw a comet in the night sky at my brother's baseball game. It was very dark that night, and the comet flew over my head. The comet had a long, flowing tail. My brother and I watched as it flew across the sky. After that, it disappeared and was gone. Okay, so just by adding a few more details, it gives us a lot more information about the main topic of the draft model. So this helps it to make it a little bit more clear about what's going on. Okay, so it gives us a lot more descriptive words, talking about your brother, talking about the night, and what you are seeing. Okay, so remember to add more details to your writing. All right, guys, that's the end of our class today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye.